So to get Lichtfeld Studio, you have to go to the lichtfeld.io website. Make sure you spell this correctly. And once you're there, I'm going to download the Windows build. If you want the latest version, you need to sign in, and I think there's a donation fee for the newest version. And you can get the newest version without paying the donation fee, but you need to download the source file and compile it for Windows. What you can do, if you don't want to do any of that, you can scroll down and download one of their older builds. Once you've downloaded it and unzipped it, you should get a folder here with a bin directory. And inside that bin directory, we'll see a Lichtfeld Studio executable. Just double click on that. And now we have the program launched. We'll also have a terminal window here that will display everything that's happening. So to get the dataset in here, we need to drag and drop in the Colmac directory that we created earlier. Once we drop it in, we'll see what it's importing, 251 images, which is correct. The sparse data file, which is the data for the 3D point cloud, it's in this directory, which is correct. And when it generates a new Gaussian Splat, it's going to output it into this directory, which was created from your Colmap directory. And this is just a default setting for that. Let's click load. And now everything is loaded in. Here's our point cloud with all the camera settings. And now we need to tell the program to generate a Gaussian Splat. Now we need to start the training. The default setting here is perfectly fine. We'll just go with that. Hit start training. Now, depending on your data set, the training can take 5 minutes or it can take 20 minutes or even longer. But in this case, it shouldn't take too long. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It took a little bit over 3 minutes to complete. And now you can see that we have a solid image. Details in the surrounding are sparse because the camera was focused on the truck and not the background. So there's limited data on the background and limited perspective in the capture. However, if you're close to the center of the truck, then the surrounding doesn't look too bad. It's just that when you go off center, things start falling apart. Now, if you want to edit the Gaussian Splat, we need to exit out of the program and re-import in the PLY file. So the output folder that was generated earlier, it is actually used to save the PLY file, and this PLY file can be brought back into Lichtfeld Studio and edited. So now let's import in the new PLY file. And we can get that from the Colmap output directory that it automatically generates. Open it up. So now that it's imported into the program, we can start editing the Gaussian Splats with these tools on top. You can zoom out here. And go to Gaussian rings. And now you can actually paint your selection here. And hit delete. Or you can right click and click on add crop box. Expand that. So now we have this giant box, but it just puts on a giant box all over the place. We want to trim it down to the Gaussian Splat. So we're going to go to fit to scene, trim. And it's going to narrow it down to the concentration of the Gaussian Splats. If you use the scale tool, you can scale the box further to just use what you need. And to commit that, you can right click it and hit apply. And now it eliminate all the Gaussian splat outside of this box. But we're gonna keep everything. And we're gonna get rid of this box here. I'm not gonna use it. And we're just gonna export the entire thing out into Blender Octane. If we decided to edit out and clean out the Gaussian splats, we can resave the PLY file by going to export, and it gives you a bunch of options here. And you can just use that to save out the new edited version. So in this case, we're just gonna use the original PLY file that's in the output directory. We can just close it out, and let's go into Blender Octane and see how we can import it there.